we're on. Again.
Always feels like such a mad rush before these shows, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, it is when you work all day, then come home, have some tea, and then, we're on the show.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway.
Had a bit of an Easter break.
We did. Bit of an Easter break. I had big plans of actually going out and going detecting, but I seem to not get there.
Keep talking.
Oh, what's that?
Keep talking.
Keep talking? Okay. Camera not working. It's always something, isn't there? Always something. But anyway, we haven't got the big bucks to have all the big fancy equipment with the blue screens and that. It is what it is, and that's what someone said to me. It's real, you know. And we're not here to sell. We're here to help. Yeah. How's it going, girls?
It's going.
Going.
Tell everybody about your day today in the shop.
My day in the shop today. Well, last week I actually had the flu, had sort of a virusy thing where I had really bad headaches. Just didn't feel like doing anything, felt a bit dizzy. And then my wife tells me that I've got the man flu, but she forgets a week before that, Mum had it, didn't she? She was sick, so yeah.
Well, I had a nice cruise, but I haven't even had a chance to tell your mum about how it all went.
No, how long did you go for?
3 nights.
3 nights,
Yeah.
okay.
So I had to fly up to Brizzy and then, 3 nights from there.
Okay, and that's why we didn't have the show last Tuesday because, I was sick and you were on the cruise.
Yeah. So
enjoying the life. Wish I had time.
Oh, Mum says tell you about it.
Ah.
But it was really cool, actually. It felt like you were at a Crown casino, but it was on the water, if that makes any sense. But you could feel the boat moving all the time. Like you'd be walking down a hallway and you're walking on this side and then you're walking on that side. Or you'd be out having dinner and you're a little bit wonky. So that was a little bit hard to get used to. I feel like on the 3rd day you got used to it, but it was only 3 nights. So by the time we got used to it, it was sort of over then. But it wasn't like a move that made you feel sick, if that made sense. You kind of had vertigo, but didn't feel sick.
Well, I was moving side to side during the week, the dizzy spells, and I wasn't even on a cruise. We better get the show moving, eh? Okay. Tonight's topics.
So we'll have our usual stock update, the gold and the relic of the week. We'll have a little chat on the Minelab competition that's about to come to a close. The new Coiltek Elite Max coils.
Yep.
And then you'll have a chat on the difference of Western Australia versus Victoria prospecting.
Just different things, to keep an eye open for. And it's going to be really good when we're in Western Australia in, about 3 weeks' time?
Roughly, yep.
Yeah, we won't be on the couch, we'll probably be on the chairs, but it will be good to show people what to look for over there and, just different types of grounds. I'll show them the money tree, different vegetation, different types of rocks, and show them some of the gold that is found on the tours.
I'm really looking forward to heading over to Western Australia and all the content we'll get to film over there and share it with you guys.
That will be good. And Q&As at the end. So please, guys, if you've got any questions, ask, and hopefully we can answer them.
Yes, sounds good. So prizes for tonight. We're going to give away 2 of the fly and mosquito head nets. So we'll talk a bit more on these a bit later because they were our product highlight of the week. So we'll bring those up soon, but just comment tonight. Any comment, you'll go in the running.
Nice comments. Nice comments. Okay.
My leash is looking a bit glassy-eyed.
You've got hay fever, haven't you? You just took a tablet, but anyway.
Mum says I look glassy-eyed, not camera fit today.
Or you're getting the flu that I had last week.
No.
Stock updates.
Yes.
We got some CC picks in, which are the best picks made. But we're nearly out of them again. We got quite a few, didn't we? Quite a few. I don't know how many we got, probably about 20, 25, something like that. And I think we're down to about 2. Yeah. They just,
Fly off the shelves.
fly off the shelves. Pay dirts, another thing that we've got in. That's going well at the moment. So, and dolly pots, we've got a few of the heavy duty ones left, and we've got more on the way.
Yeah.
We're having trouble getting coils for the 6000, I believe, due to the wires. It's not the chips, I believe it's the wire for the coil. I was talking to Rowan today, and unfortunately, he can't get them.
Yeah.
Okay.
So WA competition, or the Minelab competition for the Western Australia trip. So that's actually coming to an end this Sunday.
Gee,
that's gone quick,
it
hasn't
has.
it?
It's been, 4 weeks they've been running the competition. Anyone who doesn't know about the competition, you can go onto the Minelab website. It's fairly heavily promoted. And when you buy a detector, you can get like tickets, and you can go into the competition to win an all-inclusive tour to WA, which we're actually heading up.
Yeah.
And we've got Brad coming along, and he's a whiz on the detector, and he'll be basically, and myself and helpers will be just helping that person out find some golds. You know, it's going to be fun. It's, we've got some things up our sleeves, and we'll jump in the bus and we'll try different spots, and it will be a fun trip.
Do you know off the top of your head which tour that is exactly? Because I feel like that's going to be a really fun tour regardless.
It's the fourth one, which is the second one in the Leinster area.
Yeah.
I think there's, off memory, 6 spots left on that.
Yeah.
But I reckon that's going to be a good fun one.
I think so too.
Yeah, and anyone who hasn't been to WA, it's once you've been there, you'll make it an annual event because it's just fun. It's Okay.
Then we've got the Coiltek Elite Max. So these are the new coils, and they're actually in stock at the moment.
They are. Yeah, been selling quite a few. Which size has probably been selling? The 10 by 5, I think, it seems to be the one selling.
So 10 by 5 was $480. The 14 by 9 was $540. And the 9-inch was $510.
Like, I'm just looking at the pictures there. Like, you've got your oval coils and your round coils. I personally like the round coils. And I think I've talked this before, where your oval coil sends a signal into the ground, but it doesn't actually go to a point, it tapers off.
Yeah.
Where your round coils goes down to a point. So round coils generally will go deeper than an oval coil, but then an oval coil's good in amongst the, the blackberries and bracken and sticks and that you can put that point in there. But it's a personal choice thing, but I might be old school, but I like the round. Okay.
Gold price. So we took this at 5 p.m. today.
Yep.
And it was 166.09.
Yeah, and that's actually taken a bit of a drop because last week it was 172, I think it was. It actually got a little bit higher. It got up to, I think it was about 176.50. And I thought, beauty, here we go. And then it just come down. And I think the reason it's come down is because there's not as much going on overseas with the wars and that. And people, investment people, when there's fear, they tend to go to a safe haven, which is gold. But when the fear drops off, they'll go back into the share market.
Yeah.
But I think it is very well manipulated, the gold price. But yeah, look, someone asked me today, what's your opinion? Do you think it's going to go up or down? And look, I think it's always got to come down before it goes up to the high again. And I think it may come down a little bit more than where it is at the moment, but then it will start creeping its way up again. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
If you look at the long-term chart, yeah, it's like this, but it does go up.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah. So if they've got any questions, please ask, guys. Yeah, and I was thinking about this today too. If you want us to talk on a topic,
Yeah, absolutely.
ask. Don't expect to have an X on the spot where you're going to pick up a 20 ouncer, but just ask. You might say, oh, look, what's your favourite area for prospecting and why? Or, how do I clean the gold up? Just ask. They should.
And on top of that,
Excuse me.
if there's any segments you're liking or you're not liking, just chuck it in the comments, because we do this show for you guys. So we want to make sure that it's rewarding and entertaining for you guys.
And like I said earlier on, we're here to help people. We're not here to sell. But yeah, if you're going to come into the shop and buy something, well, great.
Bonus.
Bonus. And do you want to talk about that?
Oh, I'll announce it. So last week in our newsletter, we said that we announced that the Equinox 800 from Minelab and the GPX 5000 are discontinued.
I was very sad when I saw the 5000 discontinued because, I still reckon they're a great machine. I know they've been around for a long time, but there's so many, there's over 200 different combinations and settings on that machine, and there's so many different coils you can put on it, but that was a little bit sad. But
I feel like the Equinox 800 you can understand because you've still got the 7 and the 9, but the 5000, yeah.
Anyway. Oh, this is exciting.
Yeah, so we've just received our new XRF machine.
And people might say, what is an XRF machine? It stands for X-ray.
I wrote it in the newsletter today, so bonus points if you read that.
Yeah. So basically, this machine will test the gold. Some people will bring gold in, and they might say, oh, look, it's from Victoria. But I know damn well it's from somewhere else. And this has happened before where someone tried to sell me some gold and it was really green colour. And I said, that has come from part of Queensland somewhere, or it's come from Papua New Guinea. And they said, oh, I don't know, I'm selling it for a friend, because gold from Papua New Guinea or some parts north of Queensland can run as low as 75%.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of copper mixed in with it. So, but yeah, we'll talk a little bit. But yeah, so basically, yeah, so it's there to test the gold that we buy to make sure it is what they're saying it is. And hopefully we'll be paying a better price. Yeah, if it comes in melted, yeah, we can test it and then say, X percentage under gold price, and they'll actually get a better price for their gold, long as it's clean. I had a bloke during the week, and he was trying to sell a bigger piece of gold, and he said, it's worth double gold price. And I said to him, it's only worth what someone's willing to pay, and it looks like an elephant. To me, it just looked like a bit of gold, but yeah, it's what someone's willing to pay. But but this machine will be good.
And this will help us buy things other than gold nuggets as well.
It will. Yeah, chains and rings and and that a lot of that gets found down around the Geelong area on the beaches.
Yeah.
A lot.
X-ray fluorescence.
X-ray fluorescence.
Thank you, Ross and Brad.
Okay. Yeah, but we've just got to get trained on the machine. When we purchased the machine, we had to get what they call a radiation certificate from the government.
Yeah.
But apparently the sun puts out just as much radiation as what this thing does. And this is a very safe one in that it won't work unless the lid is closed.
Yeah.
They're not cheap at all, but got to have it nowadays.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, you know more about this one than me.
Yeah, so this is a really exciting story to put in the newsletter this week. So we had a customer who purchased a property in the Golden Triangle, and they didn't do anything on it for the first couple of years. I think it was just for personal use.
Yeah.
And their first project was to make a dam on it. And to their surprise, as they started digging out this dam, they found whopping amounts of gold on here. So for 2 weeks straight, they were just uncovering gold, and they're still not finished.
Wow. Well, we were looking at the picture earlier on, and I said to Talisha, is that 393.8? And as we looked at it, it's not. It's actually, 3.9 kilos of gold.
Yeah.
And a kilo of gold at the moment's worth, what is it? Big dollars. 160,000. So work that out. That's a lot of money just sitting there, and beautiful looking gold. Look at the colour of it.
Yeah.
It's really nice. So so they've put a dam in.
Yeah.
And obviously it's not holding water, so they're extending the dam, I'd say, as they do. Good luck to them. Yeah, it's good just to see the gold, isn't it?
Yeah,
really
definitely.
good.
Nice to know it's still out there.
Yeah. Okay. The tip of last week that went in the newsletter. You want to read the first or second one out?
I'll read the first. So underneath the sticker on your coil, so that'll be the top middle, is where the coil is the most sensitive. So if you're trying to pinpoint a target, you're aiming for that spot on the sticker.
Yeah.
Yep.
Generally, if it's a small, very small piece, it will be a little bit closer to the edge. But as a rule, I generally say dig where the sticker is.
Yep.
That's long as I haven't gone past it, because being a mono coil, you will pick anywhere on the front, the sides, or the back. If they go past the object, they might be digging the hole here when they should have been digging it back. I always say come back 1/2 metre from where you've got the target, and then come into it, and when you get that loudest target, that's where you dig.
Yeah.
My turn. Keep your lithium batteries in a cool place, because heat can reduce their lifespan. So you store them in a cool, dry environment. But I think if I was in the sun, I wouldn't last as long either. So and that's important with the lithium batteries. I just bought a power bank thing.
You got that, did you?
I bought 3, but we won't go there. But and it says just don't have it in the heat. So. Okay, Golden Relics tours.
So I've only got a couple of these left for the one-day tours. So we've got the one-day tours, which we've got next Friday, Saturday and Sunday are our last ones of this season. And then they will start back up again in September. And for our training days, our last one is this Friday, which has 3 spots left. Yep. And just a note on that one, that's meeting at Elaine. I think our email reminders went out with 2 different meeting locations. So Elaine Farmgate Shop is the location.
I had a customer in today and they said, what's the difference between the tours and the training? The tours, like typical day, is we pick you up in the bus from Creswick. The boys take you out, show you a little bit of panning for about an hour, and then take you to a location, show you a bit on the detectors, and then they're just detecting, walking, following the customers, and showing them what to look for and where to look, I suppose. Where the training days are when a customer buys a detector office, whether that's a gold monster, 6,000, 7,000, can't say 5 anymore because we can't sell them, or even some of the Equinox ranges, we offer a full day's training.
Yeah.
And that's a training day. It's about learning.
Yeah. And if they haven't purchased a detector, you can still just go on the training day. It's $265 for the day. and just get to know more about your machine. So it's only really for the Minelab Gold machines. But if you've got one of those and you want to learn more about your settings, how the machine works, it's a perfect opportunity.
You've only got to learn one thing and, helps you find more gold and the price of it. Okay.
WA tours. So I've just updated this before we jumped on. So our all-inclusive tours, we've got one spot left on the first tour in Kalgoorlie on the 26th of May, 6 spots left on the 2nd of June in Kalgoorlie, 1 spot left on the 16th of June at Leinster, and 3 spots left on the 23rd of June at Leinster.
Oh, that last one's booking up.
So that last one was the one where the winner of the Minelab competition is going to be joining us?
Yes. So that's on the 23rd of June. Yeah, fun days ahead.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah.
And then for tag-alongs, you've got a few spots there. Cal, and then Murren's got the 1 spot, and Mika Thara has 3 spots.
Okay. Very good.
So now we'll bring up the QR code that you can scan if you want to join our newsletter, or if you've got an entry for our monthly competition of all your gold finds, treasure finds, just weird finds that you might. We actually forgot to bring something in.
We did.
We'll bring it next week.
Yeah, customer come in with a weird thing, and look, I thought I sort of knew what every mining bit it was, but yeah, this had me tricked. So yeah, it'll be interesting to show it next week.
Yeah, we'll bring it on the show next week and get your opinion on what you think it might be.
Yeah, we left in a hurry, didn't we?
Yeah, we did, always.
Yeah. Oh, gold of the week.
Yes.
I had a customer come in today and sell me a bit of gold, but I don't know if I can show it because is it school holidays still on?
No, they've ended. So
they've ended. Is there any long weekends coming up?
No, don't think so.
Okay, well, I suppose I can show it then. That's it there. It's 96 grams, found around the Talbot area, but it was found 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's just a stunning, really nice water-worn piece. The reason we were having a bit of a dig at the start was it was just before Easter. A customer come in and showed us a 552 gram nugget, if I remember. And we showed it off and everyone's saying, it's just before Easter and you're trying to sell more detectors. We weren't even open, guys. Look, I suppose at the end of the day, if we show a nice nugget and, it's a negative comment, don't watch the show. It's, it is what it is. But yeah, it's a stunning piece.
When we get nuggets, we just show them to you guys when we get them because we can't wait to share it to everyone. So
I remember the big specie that we showed. Yeah. We actually got that before Christmas, but we showed it after Christmas, for that reason. But yeah, I just like seeing gold, whether it's tiny or big or, and I'm sure most people do, but there's all... The story when we're at Bunnings.
Not Bunnings, BCF.
About what was that?
Gold in the bag. Moved us in, had a big nugget there.
Big nugget in BCF?
Oh, we went and bought some, was it hot water systems and that for the trip at BCF. And Leanne was making some room and she grabbed this blanket and out fell a nugget, wasn't it? And 425 gram nugget. I had sitting on the back seat. But yeah, I showed the bloke and yeah, he was rapt just to see it, wasn't he? He was really... What's that?
He was helping us out with the stuff.
Yeah, he was helping us out with the stuff from BCF, but he was just rapt to see it. And this, he said, gold's worth good money at the moment. It's 3,200. And a lot of people see the US price on tally and they think that's the price of gold. But that's the US price. Australian, it's roughly, at the moment, I think probably 5,150.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so people, they see that price on tally and they think that's what it is.
I had someone the other day say that they saw the gold price on the tally, and then we're on the show saying something different. They were asking where we were getting our figures from. So, had to explain that we're going off Australian dollars and the TV goes off US.
I think I multiply by what our dollar's worth, divide by 100 or something like that, and that converts it over. But and the price we show on the graph, that is per gram.
Yeah.
So there's 31.1 grams to a troy ounce. But I had a bloke in today, he said, oh, there's only 28 grams to an ounce. I said, no, that's the imperial weight.
And then you've got the troy ounce, and then what's the other ounce?
Just a normal ounce, imperial, they call it, But I'll show you some weights a bit later on.
And the reason this guy come in and sold the gold today was because the price was so high. So after 20 years, he would have made a killing on that.
I would have, It wasn't the only piece he sold me, but I'll show the other piece, probably next week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Relic of the week.
Relic of the week.
What have you selected today?
Okay, they're what they call cup weights. That's them there. And they all go in like cups. Here's a complete set here, guys. And the little one is, I think, 1/4 of an ounce. And then they go to a 1/2 ounce, 1 ounce, 2 ounce, 4 ounce, 16 ounce, 32 ounce. The biggest here is a 64 ounce. So that one is a 64 ounce troy ounce.
Yeah.
So that's what they would have weighed their gold in. And then it goes 64, 32, 16, 8, 4, 2, 1, half, and that must be
0.25, is it?
1/4, I think it is. But very hard to get that middle one in a set. This one here, the biggest one here, that is 100 ounce. And I've actually used this one. A friend of mine found 2 large nuggets, and you put that on the scale, on the beam scales and the pan, and then you put your gold on the other side, and that's how you weigh. But look, you don't see them around a lot. I give you an example. This part set here, so it's missing the centre one. Probably about 10 years ago, I was offered $1,000 for that by a collector, but I just, it come out of a bank in Maryborough in Victoria, that set apparently. Yeah. Generally the bigger sets and bigger weights were in the banks because they got a lot more bigger gold in. You get little sets like that. That's a little 4 ounce, but it is missing the centre ones again. Now, something of interest, I don't know if you can see that, but on there's like rings. There's 3 little rings going around there and 3 on the bottom. When it had the last cup weight, when it had the rings going around it, that was the last one in the set. Yep. So if you got one like that had no rings engraved in it, that's not the last one of the set. But it's hard to make up sets because they're all made like out of one piece, and they generally, one won't go into the other set and that. Yeah. But yeah, I as you guys know, I just love me mining memorabilia, and that's part of our history. That it really is.
Are these ever found by metal detecting?
Yeah, early days, I used to find small ones in the mine heaps next to the trees because I probably lost them in the white pipe clay, and dust, and couldn't find them again. They didn't have detectors. Yeah. If they had detectors back then, we wouldn't be finding anything. But so they're what they call cup weights. There is some sets that have a lid over the top and a latch on them, but yeah, they're more overseas ones, yeah, where these are mostly English. But like I said, if it's a gold weight, it's going to have stamped on it Troy.
Yeah.
That is gold weight.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you know what I'm starting to realise?
Yeah.
I don't think I had toys as a child.
Yeah, badly done.
Oh, I had all these relics. I was playing with these. I was playing with your marbles.
Yeah.
All your little toy guns and that.
Yeah, the old ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're over there actually. Yeah, but yeah, Mum's laughing. Oh yeah.
Topic of the night.
Topic of the night. Victoria versus WA ground. This is something, yeah, like I said, I started detecting in 1980. I went over to WA, I think it was 95, since 95. I've only missed 1 year going over to Western Australia. But what I found was it was different in Victoria prospecting to WA. And what I mean by that, in WA, the ground is a lot older over there than what it is here. And what I mean by that, it's a lot more weathered. So over there, a lot of your gold seems to be spread out a lot further because it was all under sea and the gold was pushed out different directions, where here the gold is more confined to smaller areas. And what I found, I could be totally wrong here, but what I found in Victoria, a lot of the bigger pieces are closer up to the source, to the reef, where it's come out of the reef. But in WA, I've found bigger pieces down further from the reef, and they're generally loners. They're generally out by themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just something I've noticed. You know, Victoria, from the old reports, had a lot more bigger nuggets found by prospectors, especially in the Golden Triangle, but they're gone now. You know, everyone dreams of finding something big. And look, I suppose as new technology, new detectors come out, it opens up a different set of perimeters or windows, and you've got that better chance of finding, you know, bigger gold. Yeah. Okay. In WA, if you're looking for new patches on new ground, I would personally be running a bigger coil, because running a bigger coil, it's not about trying to get the big nuggets down at depth. It's also about covering more ground. Now, it is harder in Victoria running bigger coils because we've got sticks, we've got bracken, you know, it's a lot harder, where in WA it's a lot more open country. I suppose in Victoria, another spot I would use a larger coil would be after a controlled burn off or a bushfire, because you haven't got all that sticks and bark and that, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. So if you're looking for new
Need a drink?
I do. Yeah. If you're looking for new ground, whether that's Victoria or WA, look, it's damn hard looking for new patches.
Yeah.
But, you know, and I see this a lot on the tours in WA, someone will find a piece of gold out on the new ground, and you come back 10 minutes later and they're gone. They've walked away. You know, that's what you're trying to find when you're looking for new ground. You're trying to find that one piece so you know there's gold in that area and concentrate around that there, you know. Yeah, it's just a mistake people make. If I find a bit of gold out on new ground, I remember me telling you about the cartwheel or spiral, and I'll work around that. You know, there's a really good example of that. I was in WA on the motorbike 1 year, and I thought, oh, gee, that ground looks good. So I jumped off it, And I reckon within 10 minutes I found a 10 gram piece. And I thought, beauty, I'm onto a patch here. So I zigzagged around it quickly and nothing, because it was getting dark, and I thought I better get back to camp because it was probably about 10 kilometres away from camp. So the next morning I went back there and I sort of done the spiral thing, trying here and trying there. I walked over the hill and I couldn't find another piece. And I thought, oh, that's unusual. You know, it must be a loner. Anyway, I'm walking back towards the mini bike or motorbike, and I had the coil on the ground. I got two noises with probably that far apart, you know, half a metre apart. So I dug the first one up. It was an ounce piece. Second one was an ounce and a half piece. So that made me slow down, and I stopped and looked at the ground, and I could see a little bit of a depression going down the side of the hill. So I started working there, and look, I pulled 8 ounces off it.
Gosh.
It was a smallish area, but very rough gold. It hadn't had come down and spread out, you know. And then you probably can't remember, but I had mum and your kids, you were there digging. We dug down about that deep in a little area. You don't remember. But yeah, I think I missed a 5 gram piece, you know. But as new technology, when the 23 come out, I went back to that spot and I found more bits around it.
Yeah.
When the 6 come out, I found more bits around it, you know. So, just got to look. Really look.
I suppose after you find a couple of, like, the first one on new ground gives you confidence that there's actually gold there and to keep working that ground. But after finding a couple, that kind of helps give you a pattern of where they are. And
the way it's running.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes in Western Australia you might find a 1/2 gram nugget and it's very water worn, and we call them an emu nugget.
Haven't heard this.
You haven't. And it's where, back home in Victoria, chooks will do the same thing. If there's little bits of gold, they think it's a bit of wheat, and they'll eat it, and then it goes through them, and then it comes out the other end in silly places. So that's why we call it an emu nugget, because it's just dropped one
so
there.
Has the acid made it water worn, or?
No, it's just, I suppose, in its tummy, and it's,
Yeah,
you
the
know,
acid in its tummy. Yeah.
acids and probably stones, and and I know emus do eat like stones, and it digests the grain and that in their tummies and that. But on the purity of Victorian versus WA gold, look, I know from buying gold, on average, I'll say on average because, you know, when I used to buy gold in Western Australia, they'd say, oh, we've got the purest gold in the world. Of course, but I have to say, on average in WA, the gold over there runs on average 90 to 92% purity. Yeah. And in Victoria, on average, 95 to 98% purity. You know, you will get gold in certain areas that is a bit lower or a bit higher, but I'm just talking in general on average. And people might say, why is that? In Western Australia, there's a lot more silver mixed in with the gold. And this is what people don't realise, is that the gold price that you see is based on 99.9% pure gold. Yeah. The gold we find prospecting can run, you know, I've bought gold that went as low as 75%.
Gosh, where was that from?
Overseas.
Okay.
Overseas. It was very brassy looking. And that's where the XRF machine's going to come in handy, because I can zap it and it will tell me what purity it is. Yeah. You know? Yeah. Okay. Oh, gee, we've got a few Q&As here.
Do you want me to read them out to you and you can answer them?
Yeah.
Darren, do we need to pre-book a visit to the shop for the new XRF machine for testing and analysis of melted down gold nuggets, or just turn up?
Probably it would pay to ring up the shop, because a few of us need to be trained on it.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not always in the shop, and there might be one of the staff there that's trained up, but they might be sick for the day. So look, it probably would pay just to ring to play
Yeah.
it safe, unless you live local, you know.
Don't always have a gold buyer.
Yeah, we don't, do we? Yeah, and we don't always have a gold buyer in the shop
Yeah.
every day,
Yeah.
you know.
And another way you can book an appointment is through our website. So up the top on the heading sort of bit, there's a sell gold. So if you click on that, there's a link there. You can book an appointment with us.
Yeah, and there is a charge. If people don't go through with the transaction, there will be a charge,
Yeah.
because
Takes quite a bit of time, doesn't it?
yeah, and the XRF machine, you can only do so many zaps, and then you've got to replace, I believe, the tubes in it, and they were quite expensive. Was it $8,000 or something just to replace the tube in them? So it's got a life expectancy. So can't bring in, 800 nuggets and say, test these. What are they? Yeah. Okay.
Do you provide detectors on the WA tours?
If it's an all-inclusive tour, yes, we do supply 6000s. We supply picks, scoops, everything. If it's a tag-along tour and you want to use one of our 6000s and equipment, there is a small charge for that. And yeah, the reason there's a small charge, skid plates wear out, things get damaged.
What size pay dirt bags do we have, and what are the prices? I don't know the prices off the top of my head, do you?
I do, actually.
You do?
I do. A 300 gram pay dirt is $50.
Yep.
There's actually a quarter of a gram in them.
Yep.
The 600 gram pay dirt is $100, and there's half a gram. The 1 kilo bag has a full gram of gold in it. I'm going to cough again. Oh, it's this flu. Yeah. And the big bag, the 2 kilo bag, has 2 grams of gold in it.
That's impressive that you knew.
It is.
All right.
Well, I make them up. And each bag is consistent.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put one speck in a bag and then in the other bag throw in 2 grams. It's got to be consistent. Look, I always say, say 0.2 of a gram, that's quarter of a gram plus in it.
Yeah, because you take the dirt from actual
mine
gold
sites.
fields.
I do, yeah. I'll take dirt from creek, I'll scratch down to the bottom and get the gravel out of that. I'll get it from a mine site that's been screened, so yeah. And I triple check.
All the gold's in there.
All the gold's in there. I've got a process.
Yeah.
And there's a 3-part process of making sure there is the right amount of gold in there.
Perfect. Next question. What coil would you recommend for the 6000 for going deep?
Probably there's not many options. Probably the Minelab coil, the big one that they bring out. 17 inch, yeah. I've actually bought one to take with me to WA, and Peter, our tour guide, he's actually bought one too.
Yeah.
And he said, you're right. He said, it's not about trying to pick up the little bits, it's about trying to find a patch. Yeah, that's what I would use.
So once you've found a patch, would you be then swapping over to a smaller coil?
I probably would, but look, the 17-inch coil is still really sensitive. Like the technology in the Minelab 6000 is different technology to what is out there. It's still damn sensitive, even with the bigger coil, But at the end of the day, if you're chasing bigger, deeper gold, you've got to be able to read the ground and, like I say, if there's a big rock the size of a football, you might only end up with one big nugget the size of a 10-cent piece and then 100 smaller bits. There's got to be bigger gold in that area.
Yeah.
an old prospector said to me once, he said, Darren, find the small bits and one day you'll find a big bit. And it's so true, you know. Yeah. It doesn't come easy. Oh, that's not totally true. The 24-ounce bit I got was only 2 inches down, so that was easy. But as a rule, if you're finding small bits, you know, and it's a patch, generally there'll be a bigger one maybe out wider from the patch or down from it. Yeah, and you do have to run a bigger coil over them patches. Don't just run a small coil over the patch and think you've got it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've mentioned this before. People need to go over that patch with a bigger coil. Yeah. Anyway.
All right. Best way to clean a quartz specimen?
If it's just, I presume they're talking about eating the quartz out of the gold, which, yeah, there's only really one way, and it's hard to get that nasty acid unless you know someone that's got it. But if it's a quartz specimen and it's, say, stained from the red clay and it's got that reddy tinge to it and it looks very ugly, soak it in Domestos or White King. That's what I did with that big specie that I purchased a couple of years ago. So you put it in Domestos or White King and you're bleaching that quartz. Yeah. And then you take it out, neutralise it in some bicarbs of soda, make sure it's clean, and then I'll do it again and do it again until you're happy that it's nice, the quartz has gone nice and white. Yeah. You know, there is a couple of other different ways, but yeah, it's very time there. Yep. Okay.
All right. Any plans for the Manticore to get an upgrade? Holding off in case there's one coming.
Oh, gee. I haven't heard nothing, but in saying that, in 2 weeks' time, we go to an international Minelab conference. Yeah, and that's, when us as dealers are told, you know, what's going to be happening down the track. Yeah. So, yeah, I haven't heard of anything, but time will tell.
If there is something, we'll pop it in our newsletter.
Yeah, yep.
What's the best formula for a specific gravity test?
I use, there's 2 formulas that I know. I use the more common one. I think it's, gee, this will test me. I think you weigh it dry, multiply it by 1.9, then you've got to weigh it wet and multiply it by, 3.1, 2.9. I've got it wrote down somewhere, but that's the one I use. But it's not so much the formula people use. And I'm going to do one of these live one day, show people how to do it.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Because people will tie a bit of string around the gold and they'll submerge it in water, but the string holds water. So it's not a true. Or many years ago, there was a gold buyer and he was using a coat hanger. It works on water displacement. You know, I didn't know until later on. Yeah. But I will do a live thing on that. Yeah.
Little science experiment.
Yeah. And generally I'm only 0.1, 0.2 of a gram out either side.
Yeah. Is there any new detector coils for the 6000 coming out soon, i.e. Nugget Finder?
I doubt that very much because as I said earlier on, I know Coiltek in Adelaide and Nugget Finder are having trouble getting that particular cord for them coils. So yeah, look, we've got coils on back order, and we've got people that are putting them on back order, but we can't get them. You know, it's hard for us and hard for everyone at the moment. Yeah. So.
what's the best form for gold to be in when someone comes to sell it? Nuggets, melted down, flakes. I know we had someone come in the other day with nuggets in a jar of water.
Yeah. The ones that come in with water is absorbed onto the nuggets, and it weighs a lot heavier. So I had to dry it out before I could buy them. He didn't realise that, you know.
Yeah.
Look good in the bottle with the water, but look, once the XRF machines, once we've got trained on it, yeah, probably in melted form.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, you know, it's criminal to melt bigger pieces down, but like I was explaining to a bloke today, like if gold got to $10,000 an ounce, no one's going to be buying it. It's going to be bought solely on the gold value, not as a nugget, you know. Yeah. But if gold was $10,000 an ounce, you know, some people would still come in and say, I want $20,000 an ounce because it looks like a nice nugget. It's not going to work like that because gold's going to get too pricey. It's only the gold content people are interested in.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. Like you're not going to pay double gold price for a nugget as an investment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heard a whisper that there's a new GPX Minelab machine coming out soon. Can you confirm this, Darren?
I won't know until 2 weeks' time, you know. Yeah. There's always rumours around, always. As soon as a new machine's out, there's rumours on the next one. So, look, I know Minelab, on the 7,000, I believe that they worked on that for about 5 years, trying to, not 5,000, the 7,000, they worked on it for about 5 years trying to perfect it. Like, you know, there's a lot of research and development goes into a detector. They don't just get together, the engineers, and say, oh, look, you know, we're going to make this machine and then start producing it. It's got to be proven out in the field. It's got to handle the mineralisation, you know, EMI. There's a lot goes into it.
And it's not just the Australian landscape either.
No.
It's all over the world.
Yeah, well, you know, it's got to be a proven machine, you know. But yeah, so look, there'll be something coming out one day, but yeah, I'd like to see a machine that just said gold. Yeah. You know, and it will happen one day. You might laugh, you know, but it will happen one day.
Well, it's already sort of that way with the treasure machines.
Yeah, who would have thought?
Discrimination.
Yeah, discrimination, you know. But it is hard to get discrimination in your highly mineralised ground. Yeah. But look, yeah. But yeah, rumours, I know they're out there, but time will tell.
Yes, it will. Okay, someone saw the motorbike in one of the photos that you use in Western Australia. Can you recommend a small motorbike for over there?
Most people use the postie bikes over there, but being skinny tyres, they're like skinny tyres, they can be a little bit of, if you haven't rode a motorbike before, they can be a bit dangerous in the sand and that. Yeah. You know, you turn and it, yeah, you're going over the handlebars. But I heard rumours that they're trying to stop quad bikes and motorbikes from just going anywhere over there. Gosh. I don't know. But yeah, if it's registered, and that's why people buy the postie bikes, they can actually get them registered and take them over there. Yeah. But yeah. I used to take over like a little mini bike. It was called a Honda CT70. It was only 70cc, but the handlebars used to fold down. Very compact. It was fun.
I think I crashed that one day, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
Coat-hanged myself another time on it.
Yeah, we had the clothesline string going across the trees and you just went straight ahead.
Okay, are the private tours, are they on public or private land?
The what?
Private tours.
Mostly on private land, But look, if I know, say there's a burnt off area and I know that there's good gold there, I will take them there, you know. But on a private tour, we generally say to the customer, what do you want out of the day? And some might, and I've had this where I've taken people out and they'll say, I just want to see the spots that you found gold and why did you go there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not interested in detecting, just wanted to know spots.
Yeah. Some people just want to pick your brain for the day.
You know. Or they might want to try some different areas. They might want to know more about their machine.
Yeah.
On a private tour, because it's generally one-on-one, it's a lot more flexible.
Yeah.
You know.
Even some people are from overseas and they want to see all the history in the old mining towns.
That's exactly right.
Totally customised to them for the day.
Yeah. So to answer that question, look, most of it is on private land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, GPS maps. That's easy to use and understand.
A GPS.
GPS.
GPS maps that are easy to use and understand.
You're probably asking the wrong person here, and why I say that is because I'm old school. I like my old paper maps, my books, what I talked about.
Yeah.
I'm not great on technology. Yeah, the Garmin E-Track's probably the easiest one to use. I know a bloke from Minelab who's coming on the all-inclusive tour, and he's really good with that type of stuff. Sorry.
We're going to get Jonathan from Garmin too.
Okay. Yeah.
Jonathan from Garmin will be coming at some stage to give us
a crash course. Yeah.
Do some videos.
Like I know how to use a GPS, but I know that you can buy a more expensive one, download maps and put barriers in and all that, but it's well above my pay grade. Yeah.
How do people get a quote for their gold? Do they have to come in store for it?
Yes, because I've had where people have told me, and this, I think I mentioned it before, they told me it was from Victoria, the gold, and it was from Papua New Guinea, so I need to physically see it. Yeah. There's too many things that can go wrong by not seeing it. They might say it's clean and it's dirty, or, I need to see it. Yep.
Would you guys consider framing it so you are both closer in frame, then we can see what's in your hand? So I think that's maybe a suggestion about the video.
Okay.
Maybe we get closer to the camera.
Okay.
And then, we can hold things up to the camera a bit easier maybe.
Okay. Yep. Okay.
Okay. If I'm using an Equinox 900, will it find gold in the gold fields, or do I need to get a GPX 6000? Or am I in the wrong areas? Brad replied, work the mullet heaps with the 6-inch coil, mate. If it's covered in leaf matter, be sure to rake it. You'll get better depth.
Yep, spot on. Yeah, look, a customer was in today looking at buying a detector, and I said any detector will find gold, like even a $200 machine, but it's going to have to be something bigger, closer to the surface, in non-mineralised ground, With detectors, the more you spend, the better they are, But again, this is something that we teach on the tours. Depending on what machine you've got, is to what type of ground you look for. Yeah. Like I say, the Gold Monster's a good machine, but you need to know how to use it properly. Yeah. Where people will buy them second hand or buy them somewhere where they don't get training, and they can't work it out, and they're getting false signals all over the place, and they have a bad experience. Yeah. And then they never go detecting again. And I think it's part of our job to teach people, how to get, the most out of that machine. Yeah. Yeah.
We always talk about a highly mineralised soil in Australia, but do we have low mineralisation areas as well?
Yeah, and that's why Brad said work the mully keeps, because a lot of the mully keeps don't have that mineralisation in them. It might be a white, they call it white pipe clay,
Yep.
which you get up around the Avoca area, Beaufort, and your white clays generally aren't very mineralised
Yep.
because it's actually a decomposed quartz, where your red clays and your ironstone country, your red clays are a decomposed ironstone.
Yeah.
And that's why the machines will play up a bit in that red clay or that mineralisation.
Yep.
But a lot of your gold is associated with mineralisation.
Yep.
So, yeah. So if you've got a gold monster, you need to pick the right type of ground, and that can be on pipe clay, it can be on quartz piles, it can be in creek systems, yeah. But that's something that we teach.
Yeah. Perfect. I think that's all for our Q&As for tonight.
Oh, I'm surprised I got through the night. I was coughing a bit there, but yeah, anyway, we got through it.
We did. Now we've got our prize winners for tonight. So I think we should have a picture up on the screen of our fly nets and what these are, mosquito and fly head nets. So we're giving 2 of these away tonight.
Yeah, you might think, oh, I don't need a fly net.
Yeah.
You go to WA in the heat, you'll be wishing you had 10 of these, because the flies can be really bad.
I remember thinking last year before heading over that fly nets really aren't for me.
Yeah.
But once I was over there, I was living in them every day.
Yeah.
You have about 500 flies all over you.
What do they sell for in the shop? Curiosity.
I think it was $14.
$14.
I've only just put them online today, so
Yeah.
they're very new.
When people say $14, I think that's not even 0.1 of a gram.
That your calculation is going to be changing every day.
I
though.
know, I know. So, yeah. So the winners, Talisha, would you like to announce them?
A bit small, but we've got
Rob Belak.
Rob Belak and Damien Bai.
Well done, guys.
Congratulations.
Yeah. So, yeah, come summertime or WA, it's going to be a lifesaver.
Yeah. So ring the store or send us a message on Facebook now. You can either walk in and collect these, or if you need them posted, just let us know.
Yeah, won't cost much to post that one out.
No.
Okay, guys, hopefully you got a couple of things out of tonight's show, and as they say, pleasant gold dreams.
See you next Tuesday.
See ya.